Here we are in SilverLeaf, and today I'm going to share with you the 5 things I hate about SilverLeaf. Now, that's a harsh word. It's really not that bad, but these are things that you really want to be considering if you're thinking about building or purchasing a home in the master plan of SilverLeaf here in St. Johns County. So we'll go right into it. Number 1, okay, I compare this a lot to other master plan communities that are very successful, like Anacati. And so the first thing I noticed when you come into SilverLeaf, it is a huge master plan community, 3,000 homes. Apparently they're going to be building over 16,000 homes here. So we're in the very beginning stages. But the question is, if you're brand new to the area, where do you go? And so that was one thing that the park group got right over in Nocatee. They had a welcome center. And a welcome center is not where you go to get sold. It's actually just a welcoming place where the developer has people there to give you a complete overview of where the community is today, all the different neighborhoods within the community, and what future plans are as far as amenities and etc. All those good things. What builders, all those kind of things are the information that you want to know when you're coming into a new community and you want a good brief overview of everything. So that's number 1 on my list. Kind of a little pet peeve, but I think it would be great if they had a welcome center. All right, so number 2 on the list would include amenities, okay? So again, not to say the amenities are not where they need to be. There's certainly some great amenities here in SilverLeaf. And again, that goes back to the fact that it's not a CDD community, it is a HOA community. So even though you're paying less than CDD fees, you're paying a master HOA fee and a community HOA fee. And essentially, that's what pays also for the amenities. In a CDD model, the developer is able to have you pass on those costs to you in the property taxes to pay for amenities. In this case, the developer has to come up with the money to build amenities. So here in SilverLeaf, they have their second amenity center being built. There are a couple other amenities in a couple of the communities. So right now, behind me is one of the first amenity parks in SilverLeaf Village, and it is nice. I don't take that away from them at all, but it's not exactly, they don't have lazy rivers, they don't have water slide parks like Anacati, so they don't have the impressive gyms that some of these other master plan communities have. So it's definitely lacking a little lackluster in that area, but again, you're not paying as much as a CDD fee for now, but certainly I think that SilverLeaf could definitely add some more major attractions to a community that's going to have 16,000 units. Now, they say there's going to be 4 amenities overall. We have the second one being built now, which is not going to be open till I believe the spring of 2026. So again, nothing huge here as far as water parks, lazy rivers, massive gyms, or anything like that. So that's my little pet peeve for such a huge community, that it would have bigger and better amenities. All right, so number 3 on my list is landscaping and signage. Here in SilverLeaf, it's a big master plan community. We're in the beginning stages. I understand there's development, but I've been in a lot of master plan communities where you'll see people constantly working on maintaining the common areas. And here we are in one of the more upscale, one of my favorite communities actually, upscale communities in Johns Island. And this is the entryway. As you can see here, we've got, I don't know what you would call these, I guess weeds or not, up to my knees, and patches of grass. So, you know, you would think that basically at the entrance of a neighborhood where you have homes up to $3-4 million, maybe I'm exaggerating, 2, 3, 4, yeah, probably about that price point, that the developer would do a good job trying to maintain those entrances. Because again, when I bring people here, it's a first impression. And so a lot of the common areas, the medians and whatnot, the landscaping is not as up to par as I would hope, and first impressions are everything. And again, maybe I'm asking for too much, but because I've worked and sold in so many master plan communities, I find the signage and the entrances are not like that impressive for a neighborhood that has homes that start at, you know, $1 million up to $3-4 million, because these are some of the largest lots you can find in St. Johns County and still build a home to your heart's desire. So that is number 3 on my list, pet peeve, and that again may tie back into the difference between an HOA community and a CDD community. So my number 4 pet peeve is the fact that this master plan community has a lot of development, a lot of builders, but it wasn't until recently in the last couple of years that a big national well-known builder, a higher tier builder like Toll Brothers, came into SilverLeaf. And so my pet peeve is that there are a lot of lower grade builders, lower tier builders, if you will, and such as like the Dream Finders or the Lennar Homes. They have a massive presence here in SilverLeaf. And the problem I have with it is not against those builders, but the close proximity, because again, proximity affects comps. So if you have a lower tier builder too close to a higher tier builder, those comps can affect the higher tier builders. And so if you notice here behind me, Toll Brothers came into this development, which gave me confidence in this development when a big builder like Toll Brothers comes in, and they went ahead and created a white wall all around their development so that people knew that this was a Toll Brothers community, separating it from the other builders or lower tier builders. They even went one step ahead and created their own signage. They created their own landscaping, which really makes a big difference in the entrance of their communities. So to me as a developer, I think they're the ones that should kind of make sure that your high-end developments are not bleeding into, or your higher tier builders aren't bleeding into the lower tier builders, because it could affect people's property values. And savvy investors want to make sure that if they're spending a lot of money in a build, that they're not necessarily right across the street or close to a lower tier builder. So again, number 4, my pet peeve is I hope the developer continues to attract much higher end, well-known national builders like Toll Brothers, ICI, some really good local favorites. I hope that more land is bought by those builders and there's more of that development to keep up the level of tier builders in this master plan community. Number 5 on my list goes without saying. That is the further development and construction. That is one of the things when you're in the early phases of a master plan community like SilverLeaf, you're going to have massive development. And of course, behind me, they're building the First Coast Toll Highway, which is a massive, massive development in its own, going right through SilverLeaf. And of course, at 3,000 plus homes with 16,000 in the pipeline, there's always going to be construction. So shouldn't really say it's something I hate about SilverLeaf, because it goes for any brand new development. But if you really don't want to be around construction in the beginning stages of development, well, perhaps that community that you're looking at is maybe one of the ones that's already fully developed, and certainly not backing up to the First Coast Highway. All right, so at the end of the 5 pet peeves, I have to point out the good things about SilverLeaf. And maybe that's the crutch, right? The developer knows they're sitting on real estate that's gold. We're here in St. Johns County, ideally right in between St. Augustine and St. Johns. Fantastic location, the land is gold. And the reality is, for St. Johns County, you can really find a deal here. Compared to a Nocatee or other communities, you're basically saving at least $100,000, $200,000, $300,000, depending on the home you're looking for. The other pro, of course, is that they do have a really good comprehensive golf cart road system. And of course, finally, commercial. Whenever you see commercial development, that's a good sign of a community of what's to come, especially when you have the largest Publix grocery store in the state of Florida being built centrally here in SilverLeaf. You've got Baptist Health also putting a massive development here as well. So commercial is a good sign of good things to come. So these are just pet peeves I have, and this is where we started. The developer could put a little more into it. Better landscaping, have a welcome center, maybe even have a better website with more information on it. These are all just suggestions of how we can make things just a little bit better for the residents that are here and for what's to come. All right. First Coast Highway, I think it's a fantastic thing that's coming here to the area. It's going to relieve a lot of traffic in St. John's. It's going to give you great access to the rest of Jacksonville, St. Augustine as well. So I think it's a fantastic option here to have in this master plan community. Of course, nobody wants to be backed up to it, but hey, if you don't mind it, depending on where you're coming from, you can save a lot of money on the purchase of your next home. But I try to look at things in the positive light. And I thank you for enjoying this video with me today. I do have more videos about First Coast Highway. I have another video about CDD fees versus HOA fees, because a lot of the big differences or pet peeves I have today, I think it has a lot to do with the fact that this is a master HOA community rather than a CDD community, which is a big difference. So if you're not understanding those, the difference between an HOA and a CDD, check out this next video and I'll see you there.